All right, let's talk about a critical issue that honestly silently undermines so many great organizations: a broken succession pipeline. It's that hidden network that's supposed to carry your future leaders right to the top, but way too often, it's just full of cracks. So, I'm going to start with a really direct question for every single leader, for every planner watching this right now. Do you actually know where the cracks are in your leadership pipeline? Because if you don't, you might be looking at a much bigger problem than you think. And here's why that matters. When that pipeline fails, the consequences, they aren't just little minor leaks. Oh no, they're floods that can absolutely derail an entire organization. We're talking about a huge hit to stability, a total nosedive in morale, and a serious threat to your long-term success.
So where do these failures really come from? Let's dive right into the core of this whole broken pipeline problem.
The crucial thing to get is that these failures are not random acts of corporate bad luck. Not at all. They are almost always predictable, they are preventable, and they tend to fall into three very distinct categories that once you see them, you can actually start to do something about it.
So let's get into our first category and really see how the actual mechanics of planning can go wrong. This is all about the nuts and bolts of the process.
We call these technical issues, and this is basically about the how of your succession planning. It's what happens when the structure itself, the framework you're supposed to be using to find and grow people, is just weak or inconsistent, or maybe it doesn't even exist. And that is shockingly common. While over 80% of executives say succession planning is crucial, some studies show less than half of their companies even have a formal process in place.
And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? When you have vague requirements for a role, or you never actually sit down and analyze the skills gap between where somebody is and where they need to be, well, you're not building future leaders. You're just kind of hoping they magically show up. It's the difference between architecture and just pure guesswork, and it helps explain why so many internal promotions end up failing within the first 18 months.
Okay, now for a blockage that's a whole lot harder to measure, but believe me, it is just as damaging. Organizational politics. This is where human nature can really just gum up the works.
This is that moment when the question changes from who is actually the best person for this role to something more like, well, whose turn is it? Or even, who do I like the most? It's the point where decisions stop being about objective merit and start being all about personal relationships and these internal power games.
And you can just see how these behaviors actively poison the well, right? When people get promoted based on who they know, or when managers hoard their best talent just to make their own teams look good, what happens? Your high potential candidates, they see a rigged game. In fact, when a pipeline is seen as political, your top performers are twice as likely to start looking for a job somewhere else. Why would they stick around to play? Just look at the stark difference here. A merit-based culture, it runs on transparency and being objective. It develops the best talent. But a politics-driven one, it thrives in the shadows with opaque decisions and favoritism promoting only the people who are connected. One builds a strong, resilient pipeline, the other creates one that's fragile and totally unpredictable.
All right, finally, let's look at the most subtle but maybe the most powerful pitfall of all: a mismatch with your organization's core culture. And this one can be really tricky to spot.
This happens when you find someone who looks absolutely perfect on paper. You know the type. They've got the skills, the experience, the great track record. But their values, their leadership style, their way of working, it is fundamentally a poor fit for what the organization actually stands for.
And just stop and think about the message this sends to everybody else. When you promote a leader who doesn't actually embody your company's values, you're basically shouting that those values don't matter. And this isn't some soft, fuzzy issue. The cost of a single bad senior hire because of a cultural mismatch can be more than 15 times their salary when you factor everything in, from recruitment to lost productivity. A leader who has a cultural mismatch can demotivate an entire workforce, no matter how technically skilled they are.
So, we've seen the technical pitfalls, the political ones, and the cultural ones. These are the three major cracks in the pipeline. But what's the one thing that allows all of them to fester and grow? And this right here is the absolute heart of the matter. It's not the pitfalls themselves that are the ultimate enemy. No, it's that quiet, dangerous belief that, it'll all work out, that a great leader will just kind of emerge when we need one. That's complacency.
You see, what connects all those things, the technical errors, the political games, the cultural misfits, is a collective failure to be vigilant, to be intentional about the future. Complacency is the fertile ground where all of these other problems take root. And that leaves us with the most important question of all.
It's a challenge, really. I want you to take a hard look at your own organization and ask this simple but really powerful question. When it comes to building your future leaders, are you truly prepared? Or are you just being complacent, just kind of hoping for the best? Because the answer could define your entire future.